What's up everyone and welcome back to the channel. You were a lot to ask me what epic heroes should you keep early game, end game, etc. I'm gonna explain to you everything during this video. So this is the list of epic heroes that are useful during your journey on Infinite Magicraid. I'm gonna detail them all and you are gonna understand, because there are some that are better than others and there are some that you are gonna replace in endgame, and so they are you are gonna use them as food. So the first one is gonna be Bizidon. Everybody knows about Bizidon. He is such a great unit, and also in endgame he is always played in PvP, in 3v3 or in championship and fair play arena. He is a great hero because this is a support. He has a lot of speed, and if you have the exclusive 3, he's gonna give an extra turn to one of your heroes. Normally it's the one with the highest amount of attack. He's gonna give the extra turn, cleans all debuffs, remove all debuffs from the target, and add on the target defense down 60%, but normally you want to use him to kill, to one-shot the entire team in front of you. He's gonna give attack plus 40%, crit rate plus 50%, and crit damage plus 60%. And so this is a great hero. Imagine using him with a ton of speed and a ton of resistance. He will avoid being controlled, and he is gonna cleanse your attacker, and your attacker is gonna destroy the opponent team. Amazing hero. A part of that, he can be used in the faction abyss because he can lower the attack by 20% and lower the resistance of the enemy, and so he is interesting. Then you have Wim. Wim is a great hero, and even in endgame, this is a hero to keep because he's gonna help you a lot in the faction abyss. Even if you have Nicholas and Pauline exclusive 3, you need Wim in your team if you want to survive. This is an amazing hero, providing a huge shield to your heroes and a consolidation 1, and so just for that, he is an awesome hero for the faction abyss. Also, he's gonna help you a lot to clear many contents in early and mid game, and also in the red mark tower he is gonna be really nice to help your heroes survive. Then you have Weasley. I love this hero, and I call her the cheap Nicholas because she is gonna do almost the same in your team. She's gonna basically lower the resistance of all enemies in AoE. That's better than Nicholas on the basic attack. She can also lower the attack by 40% in AoE, which is great if you want to survive in dungeons. She can increase your speed by 20%, increase the crit rate of your highest attacker by 50%, and also she can reduce the speed in a single target by 20% using the basic attack. She is a great hero in many content in the game, especially if you don't have HAL 9000, who is a legendary hero. For the faction abyss, she is gonna be amazing. A great job. Great hero. Then you have Verto. Verto is another underestimated hero. He is such a great one. Basically, with his passive, he can increase by a lot your effect hit on all your heroes. If they have an attack buff, they are gonna have 44% more effect hits passively, which is a lot. If they don't have any attack buff, they are gonna take a 22% effect hit bonus instead. This is a passive. Imagine using him with Anita. Many players are doing that in PvP to put poisons over heroes with a ton of resistance, such as Pauline and NG3, for example. This is a great hero also because he can lower the turn meter of enemies by 15%, he can lower their crit rate by 50% using the ultimate, and he can also increase your attack, put a buff, 40% attack buff on all your heroes. This is a great one. In endgame, you are still gonna want to use him in sometimes, or maybe in the faction abyss you are gonna replace him by another hero. If you have Rister, he's gonna be better than him, and then you are gonna put Ben Austin, Catherine, and damage dealers. But mid-game and close to endgame, he is still really interesting, and I know many players that are still using him when they are lacking some effect hit or when they want to control the enemies in PvP. Then you have Sinov here, another amazing hero. She is great in many content, all content in fact. Okay, green mark tower, she can lower the speed by 40% in AoE, and so on the stage 30 she can lower the speed of the boss even if he is stealth, which is a huge things you want to have in your team. She can lower the turn meter of enemies by 15% using the ultimate. She can increase your speed, your turn meter, sorry, not your speed, apply a shield, heal your heroes, freeze enemies who are already under speed down on them, and lower the speed by 20% on the basic attack. She is a great hero, immune to freeze, immune to speed down, and if someone tries to apply speed down or freeze on her, she's gonna get turn meter increase, and so it can give you a huge advantage in PvP. If you are using her with a Catherine, for example, if they both have the same speed, Sinov is gonna play before Catherine, increase your turn meter, and then you are gonna have an advantage over the others. It's the kind of thing that Pauline can do. If you try to freeze to control the Pauline, he's gonna increase the turn meter of your entire team, but her, she's doing quite the same, increasing her own turn meter only, and then she can increase the turn meter of your heroes or lower the turn meter of enemies. Great hero to use. Then you have Rumble, and nobody's talking about Rumble. I'm planning to build him. I have many copies of him. He is an amazing hero for the Faction Abyss and probably for PvPs. This is the reason why I want to try him. If you have some copies, you might save some, because for the Faction Abyss, for example, this is the only hero who can lower the speed of enemies outside of Gramdy. If you have Gramdy, this is gonna be great. But that hero, using the ultimate, if he can't freeze the target, he's gonna apply a speed down 40%, which is great in Faction Abyss and in other contents too, because he can also freeze enemies. He is immune to freeze and speed down, and he's gonna get turn meter increase every time you are gonna try to lower the speed of enemies or freeze enemies, and so it can give you a huge advantage in PvP, because imagine lowering the speed of enemies using a Gilliman, for example, or an Elena, a support with a lot of speed, or freezing enemies with an Azil. He's gonna get 6% turn meter increase for every enemy under speed down and freeze status. This is a great hero in my opinion. Then you are gonna have Ruin, but Ruin is not a hero that you are gonna drop. If you want Ruin, you need to buy him in the shop, in the event shop. So this is a great hero to lower the turn meter of enemies, stun them, apply a feebleness to increase the resistance of your hero in your team with the highest amount of HP. This is in endgame, still in endgame, a great hero. Then you have Fornail. Amazing hero, and you are gonna need to use him in the Faction Abyss. And the Force Mark Tower, he can help you a lot in early and mid game to clear it for the first time. He can lower the attack by 40% on the basic attack. He can apply a shield on your heroes, 40% of his max HP. He can heal a lot your heroes and apply a speed down 20% on a single target using the first active skill. This is another great hero to have and to keep in endgame. Then you have Corella. This is not the same command. She is interesting for the Blue Mark Tower if you need to beat the stage at 28 to remove the shield of the boss. She can remove buffs on single target, and so she can help to do that. Also on waves, she can silence enemies, and so it's gonna help you. But when you have finished the stage at 28 on the Blue Mark, you can use her as food. She's not gonna be interesting outside of that. Then you have Anton. This is another great hero, and you can use him in endgame depending on the heroes you are gonna have. If you have heroes with Consolidation 2 in the same faction, or you can use these as replacement, but he's still interesting in some ways. Basically, with his passive, when he takes an attack more than 25% of his max HP in one attack, he's gonna stun the target. The stun cannot be resisted or blocked. That means if you have a block debuff on your heroes in the team in front of you, he's still gonna stun the hero, and it can give you a huge advantage in PvP. In Championship, he can be used. In 3v3, he can be used. Outside of that, he can provide to your team a Consolidation 1, which is the only consolidation for the Force Mark Tower, so this is a great hero for that. He can apply a big shield on your heroes, 40% of his max HP, increase your turn meter, heal your heroes, cleanse dots on your heroes. This is an amazing support. Then you have Dustin, and I'm still using Dustin today in a Faction Abyss. He is a great hero. He has a unique passive, almost the same as Catherine. Basically, when he takes a turn, he is gonna cleanse one control effect on 2 random allies, and this can be really helpful. Imagine in Faction Abyss, the boss stage 26 or 30 is stunning your heroes, and so Dustin plays, and he removes the stun on your other heroes. This is great, but he is also great because he can provide a shield, 40% of his max HP, heal a lot Sorry, heal a lot your heroes, apply an effect hit down 50% on enemies, and attack down 20% on the basic attack in single target. Great hero. Then you have Muradin, another great hero for the for this faction, the Forgotten. He is gonna apply many buffs to your heroes and freeze enemies in AoE. He can provide a defense buff 60%, tenacity 30%, consolidation 1, freeze enemies, and resistance down 50% on the basic attack. This is an amazing hero to have in the Forgotten faction. Then you have Olivia, another good hero for maybe the Blue Mark Tower early and mid game, and the Faction Abyss also in end game. She can provide a speed buff 20% on your heroes, and it is gonna help you so much for the Faction Abyss. And she can protect the hero with the highest amount of lowest amount of HP percentage in your team by providing to him an ally protection and lowering his damage. This is a great hero to have, but maybe you can find some replacement in game with other support in the faction, but remember that this is the only hero who can increase your speed in this faction. Then you have Maya, great early game, mid game, but end game you can have some replacements. She is interesting because she can provide a block debuff on your heroes, heal a lot your heroes. She has 2 lives. If you beat her one time, she's gonna revive with max HP. And also she can provide consolidation 1, and this is a great hero. You have then Loof. This is a great hero early game and mid game for the Blue Mark Tower. He's gonna provide many HP burnings to enemies and deal a lot of damage. I used him to beat the stage 30 of the Blue Mark Tower when I was trying to do it. This is a great hero, also interesting for the Faction Abyss, but in endgame you are gonna find some replacements. You have Nita, a way better hero, you have Quinlan, way better, you have other options. You don't need to keep him in endgame. Then you have the Chanel, another great hero for the Faction Abyss and also for Gwyneth, depending on the heroes you are gonna have. She can provide a Silver Wand, 80% less heals on the target, and she doesn't need any effect hit to provide it. So every turn the boss is gonna have a Silver Wand on him. Also, she can heal your heroes, apply a silence, and increase the turn meter of your heroes. But maybe in endgame she can be still interesting for the Faction Abyss to heal your heroes if you don't have Esther. If you have Esther, you don't need to use her because Esther is gonna be your healer. Then you have Liz. Liz is still amazing. Everybody is still using Liz today in the Faction Abyss because this is the best support we have in the faction. And this is only an epic hero, so keep Liz copies if you have her. I'm using her. I'm using her to beat the stage 27 in the Faction Abyss and 28. You have only Aylat and her as support in this faction, and this is the only healer you have, so keep her. She is amazing. 40% shield. Heal your heroes, cleanse dots, and also apply an HP burning on the basic attack. She is really interesting. Then you are gonna have Lomas, early and mid game. He is really interesting, a great bleeder. He provides many bleeds for the Faction Abyss. He is amazing. You can use him with Lukia. They are both gonna deal a lot of damage. But in endgame, you can have many other solutions. So he can also provide a resistance down 20%, speed down 20% on the target, and defense down if I'm not mistaken. I don't remember exactly, but yeah, at the end of the day he deals a lot of damage and he is an interesting hero, but you can replace him in endgame. Then you have Makin. Makin, best hero to have to start your journey on the campaign in Infinite Magicraid, and also he is to keep because in the Faction Abyss this is the best damage dealer you can have. So I'm still using him for the Faction Abyss today. Great bleed damage, but in early game to beat the campaign you don't need effect hit on him. You want to increase his attack and mastery, so he's gonna one-shot the entire enemies. But in endgame you want to put some effect hit on him, otherwise his damage are gonna suck. Then you have Kultum. You can use her in the Green Mark Tower early and mid game, and also you can use her in end game in the Faction Abyss. She's gonna help you a lot to tank, lowering the attack of the enemy by 20% on the basic attack, giving you extra turns and copying her buffs to the hero on which she gives the extra turn. She can provide a shield to your heroes, provoke the enemy. This is a good hero to use. Then you have Kaido. Kaido is interesting, but in endgame, maybe you want to keep him because depending on the heroes you're gonna have in the Elemental City, he can be really useful to control enemies because he has a great ultimate to stun enemies in AoE. A part of that, he can increase your shielded effect and your healed effect on your heroes. That means they are gonna have more shields and more heals. Also, he can increase your resistance passively, and he can apply a self-immortal, and this is a great hero to use. And a shield and heal your heroes also. So he's also amazing in the Faction Abyss, but at the end, in endgame, you can get many legendary heroes to replace him. Then you have Hayley, great to start the game with, and also in endgame because she can provide a cold 2 to enemies, lowering their skill damage by 40%, and also she can shield your heroes, which is great. And for the Red Mark Tower, this is the only epic hero who can remove the shield of the boss, so if you need a hero to remove shields, use her, she's gonna be great. And finally, you have Eden. Eden is in my top here, epic heroes, because she can be really useful. She has a unique passive. All the time, she's gonna apply self buffs, speed buffs, and so this is the hero who can reach the highest amount of speed in a game. Mine, I reached more than 3600 speed during a fight, and basically she was always playing during the fight. She can increase your turn meta by 15%, increase your attack on all your heroes by 20%, heal your heroes a lot, continuous heal, and lower the attack of the enemy by 20%. So she is great in the Force Mark Tower, and she is great even in close to endgame in the Faction Abyss, especially if you don't have some specific units and if you are lacking some heals. Great hero. So I'm gonna show you something else. This is the heroes you want to keep, okay? Verto, Karela, Maya, Luf, Eden, and Lomas. In endgame, you can feed them, okay? The others, I still have them built on my account and they are still useful sometimes. Maybe not the Chanel, but it is only because I have Esther exclusive 3. Otherwise, the Chanel, if you don't have Esther exclusive 3, you can use her. Same comment for Sinov. If you don't have Nicholas exclusive 3, she is still a great hero to use in the Faction Abyss. It's gonna depend on the limited heroes, and this is why I decided not to remove some of them. So, tell me what do you think about that in a comment below. I hope you enjoyed the video. If it's the case, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Have a nice day and see you soon. Bye bye.